Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to this teaching series. This is episode 4 on learning film, and today I'm going to be taking you into Lightroom, into my personal process for editing film. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be interesting, I think. And if you like kind of the results that I'm getting from my film, I think you'll find that a lot of it is what I'm doing in post-production. Again, a lot of people say, don't edit your film, blah, blah, blah. But as I went over in episode 3, we know that every lab that you're working with, they're going to be editing your film. They're going to be adding color. So for me, I'm just giving it a grade. I'm giving it a look that I like. I'm really not changing too much. I'm saturating things and just making things look a little bit more alive. And really, the whole idea behind editing is getting the photo to look how it looked the day you took it. So let's hop on into Lightroom and I will show you guys everything I do for my process. All right, so we're gonna be in Lightroom for this portion. We're going to be editing about 6 photos here. I tried to pick a few different kind of scenes to kind of illustrate to you guys my process and just how I color things. So let's just get into it. So normally what I'm going to do with a lot of my photos is I'm going to kind of pull the exposure up a little bit. Some people recommend pulling it down, but I'm big on pulling it up. I like things very bright and vibrant, not the vibrant slider, but I like the feeling of it being very alive and welcoming. For me, I'm always adding about around 16 to 25 of contrast. And yes, I am no crazy pro at editing. I use the sliders. I don't even use the S-curve, but I really get the results that I'm looking for. So again, if you like the photos, then you're going to love this. But with my highlights, I'm normally kind of just checking out to see kind of what they're doing. We don't want to crush them. So I'm normally taking them down 10, 20, around there. And then the shadows, it is film, so you're not going to get incredible stuff out of your shadows, but I'm normally around 10 or 11. So it's kind of just giving us a flat image. As you can see, minor adjustments, a little bit of contrast, probably up the contrast a little bit more. I always pull these blacks down to about 10, sometimes lower. Whites, again, just flattening out those highlights. So I sometimes bring those down to like 20. So let's see. This was the edited. This is the original. Hard to even tell, to be quite honest. So now is kind of where you get into the stylistic. So normally I'm going to add about 13 to 14 bits of contrast. Bits of saturation. So that's adding a lot of color into your image. And then this is where I really get creative with it. I personally like to add a little bit more yellow. It makes it feel like there's more life. The sun's out. And normally I add green, but for this photo, I think a little bit of purple in the sky is going to be good. Hit that at about a 4. Again, minor adjustment. Maybe I up the sat a little bit more. Pull this down just a hair. And then I always go into clarity. I pull that down about 10 just to smooth out everything. Sharpening, I'm random. I kind of hit it at like a 35 or 36. Hold your option key if you're on Mac to see what it's affecting. So I'm trying to pull it into that like 75 range where you're just getting like the things that you need to be sharpened. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then with this one, obviously, I would just crop the borders out of it a little bit. And yeah, there you go. You have your completed photo. There's your original. Here's your edited. All right, so for this one, same thing. I think with the exposure, I'm gonna leave it because it's pretty bright over here. I just upped it a little bit, but contrast, I'm gonna grab about, again, around that. Kind of, you wanna see what it does. I kind of like to pull it all the way down, all the way up to kind of see what it's, doing. But yeah, I'll pull that all the way up. And then my highlights, it was kind of midday, so I'm gonna pull those down to about 18. That looks about good. Shadows, flatten the image out, maybe 14. We might mess with that again. Blacks again. Always just pull those down to 10. That's what I do personally. I like the whites because it kind of gives this more flat image and I like the feeling of that. So I do that. And then today was very sunny. I remember that day very well. So I up this a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of greens in there. Let's go about there. This I'll pull up to about 14. Let's see what that's looking like. So with that one, you can really tell that we're adding a lot in it. So I'm going to pull up the brightness even more. Yeah, you can kind of just mess with this. Again, if you like your rocks more purple, cool. I'm more of a green guy when it comes to editing film and just any kind of photos in general. But yeah, as you can see, that's a big difference already. Again, I'm going to up this a little bit more. Whites, yeah, that's good. Sweet. And then I'm going to go to clarity again, pull that down to about 10, 11, whatever it ends up being. Sharpening, throw that to about 37, mask it. Again, that's your option key. I'm about 80% there. And boom, that's something that I'm really happy with. Again, I think those yellows, they really, or I should call it the warmth, it just really makes it feel like you're there. It feels like a sunny day. It feels there's joy to it. It's about the feeling that it emotes, and I really love that. It might be a little too bright, so I'm gonna pull this down to about a 13-ish. And there you go. So this was the original. Here's your edited version. Getting into this one was one of my favorites. Again, the scan here is a great scan, but it's a little bit more blue. And I remember this day as being very warm. It was sunrise, as you can see with these shadows right here. So again, I'm not even going to touch the exposure, but I am going to pull the contrast up a good amount, pull these highlights. Let's see what this is doing. So this is adding a little bit more flavor in our highlights. Shadows, I'll leave those at about a 10. Whites, again, I kind of like how that's flattening that out, so I'm going to leave those at about a 20, negative 20-ish. Pull these blacks down to negative 11. Actually, let's go negative 12. So then this, so yeah, I remember this day being very warm. Let's actually pull this down just a little bit. Cool, so very warm, and then I'm going to add some greens in, saturate it to about a 12, and yeah, you're about have it right there. So I really like how that's looking. And then you pull the clarity down. If I can get my slider. Sharpen it a little bit. And again, you can remove these black borders if you want, but in terms of the color, I really like how that's looking. So that's the original. That's the finish. Now, as you guys are seeing, I am not the craziest editor. I'm not doing all these tone curves. I'm not split toning and all these things. All those things I have done before, but really what I found to be the best for me is doing the basic things and learning these little tricks like turning the blacks down, pulling the clarity down a little bit to get this soft, nice, faded tone throughout my whole photo. And I really like the results that I get. Again, saturation is big for me, turning down those whites. But again, it's very simple. Keep it simple. You don't need to get into super deep editing tutorials. Really just keep it simple. And really what you want to do is get the photo that you took to look like the day you took it, so that it really encompasses that feeling that you got when you took that photo. All right, so for the next one, we're at Monument Valley, one of my favorite spots. Now this one's kind of a unique situation. As you see, I didn't notice, but I was shooting this bar when we were there. So what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm just gonna take this guy, the heel brush, and I am just going to remove that whole thing altogether. It does actually a really good job. Move that, take this all the way to its end point, and boom, it's pretty much gone. I'm gonna remove that little black line right there. Yeah, there you have it. I could probably do a cleaner job. I also want to get rid of this car right here, just to make it look like there was no one here. And yeah, we also want to maybe straighten that out a little bit. That looks pretty decent. Remove these black bars. Try to center up that middle one. It's cool. I'm gonna drop this down a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, I already really love that. So now let's see what this is doing. I'm actually, sometimes on sunsets, I'm gonna pull the exposure down a little bit so I can get more color out of those highlights. Put the contrast up. Again, the highlights, see what they're doing. Okay, let's go at like a negative 17. Shadows, I don't want too much shadows, so maybe negative 12. Whites, yeah, you see how you're getting that haze in the air? I really like that. So let's get it at a negative 20. Turn this down to 10. Now this is where it's going to get very subjective for a sunset, because I could be like golden hour, like boom. But I kind of like a little bit more of that pink going on, where the sky is starting to turn into blue hour. So I'm going to go at about a 5. Again, I could go green like most of my photos, but I'm going to, I think, actually add some purple hues in there. Turn this up to about 14. And now you're getting that really purpley yellow like you get when the sun goes down, and I really am loving that. So that's Very simple, you guys. I keep it super simple, but that's what I really like. And for me, saturation is big. I like it to be colorful. Again, it feels like you're there, especially a lot of these photos are going to be viewed on iPhone and things like that. You really want to suck the viewer in, whether it's on Instagram or wherever else they're viewing from. But there you have it. So this was the original with the bar in there, and then this is the edited. So I love that. So for my last two, this one's somewhere in North Dakota. I just love the lighting on this one. So again, this is almost blown out. So I'm going to pull this down just a hair, add some contrast. Again, don't sit here for hours trying to be like, should I do 14 or 15 contrast? I kind of just mess with it, add a little bit, take a little bit away. I'm not going to take too much of the highlights down because it'll start to look too flat. Put those shadows a bit, whites down around 18. Actually, let's do the whites at around 16 just so we don't take detail away from the whites here. And then it was sunset, so we add some yellows in, or warmth, I should say. And again, this is subjective, but you can go green or you can go purple. I think because it's kind of sunsetty, I'm going to go, let's actually see. I'm going to go purple a little bit. We'll up this to about 12. Actually, let's pull this. Now I'm changing my mind. I'm going to up the exposure just a little bit. Let's see, pull the warmth down to about there. Let's see if I can pull these highlights down. Just so we don't lose any of that detail in these whites. I really like that. That just feels so, I don't know, warm. I just love that warm feeling. It really feels inviting. I think it just feels very timeless in a lot of ways. Oftentimes with images that are colored with more blue hues, you kind of get this cold feeling. You don't feel joy looking at them. Yeah, it might be a very good photo, but I think that warmth, it just makes you so excited. It's like how we're all excited for summer every single year because we get to get out in the sun. I think there's just something to be said about that warm lighting, and that's been a huge key for all the photos I've been editing lately. I've been really editing them in that vein. So let's see, this was the original, edited. So, it's not super crazy. You just add a few things and you really bring it all together. I also don't like this line right here, if you can see that little red line. So two ways I could fix that. I could heel brush it, or I just pull this in a little bit and boom, it's out of there. All right, for the last one, this one's kind of a fun one. For one, we have all these people right here, so I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do again is cheating. I'm gonna take her out and voila, easy. Yeah, Lightroom does a really good job with this kind of stuff. And then I just take that out, take this guy out, and boom. So now we have a scene that's a little bit more barren. Again, with this photo, this is 35, so this isn't medium format, so I'm gonna be careful with how much I use the sliders because you're dealing with less detail. But up the contrast, highlights, pull those down a little bit, shadows. We're trying to flatten the image a little bit. Whites, pull those down, blacks, like I said, big key for my work is turning the blacks down and turning the clarity down. That's a game changer. Warm this up a lot. This was like around golden hour. Let's see the tint. What do we want? I think somewhere around there. You're starting to get weird green up here, but again, it's 35 millimeter. You want it to look a little different. I really like how that looks actually. This looks very bright. It reminds me very much like how that sunset was, these long shadows. And that's what you're trying to do. You're really trying to get your image to look like how it looked when you took the photo, really. Pull this clarity down. Again, I would really recommend pulling the clarity down. It just flattens things out. It smooths it a little bit. It doesn't make it look too sharp as I up the sharpness. But, and yeah, there you have it, guys. So we got 6 great photos here, all edited, all ready to go. And again, you're not taking away from film when you edit it. You're just spicing it up a little bit. You're just bringing life back into those negatives. Again, for this one, before, after, you see the people removed over here. There's the before, there's the after. All right, everyone, that's it again for this episode. We appreciate you tuning in to episode 4 and all the other episodes. If you missed any, go ahead and go check back. There's a lot of great, valuable lessons that I've learned over 5 years that I'm literally compiling down into a 5-minute video. Obviously, this one was a little bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed seeing kind of the way that I like to edit my photos. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you like this type of content, as well as leaving us a like and a comment if you learned something from this today.